see the junk coming out of there. It makes sense because this is the one that yellow always gets clogged. Those are the stones that are on a purge unit on an IPF printer, Canon. It's actually a 750, 755, and a lot of other ones. But these are actually on the purge unit, and this particular one here has a place here. It is raised up. This unit, the printer's about 3 years old, but the yellow always clogs. So I moved the carriage out with the service mode and went through and pulled these out and cleaned them. We got tons and tons of old ink out of these using Magic Bullet. And I haven't cleaned these again yet. That was just the first cleaning. But what's interesting here is that these should be completely flat like this. These are about 3 millimeters thick, roughly. When the head comes to rest, I've got this upside down, they sit on this. That's what sucks the ink out in some of the cleaning modes. This one's symmetrical. This one here has got like a big protrusion here, like it's bubbled up. That might be part of my problem. New purge units are in $200 to $250, but you got to rip the machine apart. That's a PF04 head. It's used on a lot of 24-inch and 30-inch, 36-inch Canon machines. It's got 6 inks. It's got 2 medium blacks, a black and then a cyan yellow and magenta. And those are the 6 bands through here. And this is the contacts on the unit. What's interesting is I put the thing in service mode and pulled the carriage out, and I put them down in here and put a bunch of head cleaner in there, and just got tons and tons of black. And what's been happening is the yellow has been getting contaminated with black, and so you put a brand new head on the unit. What happens is it runs for about 2 months, 2 to 3 months, and then it gets clogged again because it's coming to rest over these pads in the purge unit. So when it comes home, it sits down in these pads here on the purge unit, and it goes off along here and does the printing. So when it sits not in use is in here. And this one having a mechanical defect like this where it's all bulged out is probably what my problem is. And I'm going to probably try switching this over, flopping it over, see what that'll do so it sits on a flat surface. But they can't be good to where it's going to have a raised edge on here and not sit down on all the this is a bad head, but it won't sit down on all these square like this. It should sit down there flush. And this one raised up, it's going to sit like this and never really contact. See that gap in there? So that's my problem on there. Got a 3-year unit. For a year or 2, perfect. Then it gets to be always the yellow, tends to get clogged up. And an older unit I had was the same way. When you put a new head in and it works for a while and gets clogged up again. So it's in the machine like this. And you're facing the front. This is on the right side. Goes back and forth and does the printing. Sits in here at home. And the purge unit sucks the ink out when you replace the head or for cleaning. It goes down into the waste tank. And that bulge through there is a mechanical problem. Maybe it gets hot and this is warped. This looks like it's a porous piece of plastic or something. Maybe ceramic. It almost looks like a little knife sharpening stone. But it looks like it's a porous piece. Now, it might be able to flip this over. Try it like that and then grind this down so that sits in the bottom. Or get a whole new purge unit. Or you can buy stones. I poured some magic bullet in here. Let these soak to get more of the grime out. My theory what's going on is that one of the inks on here is pigmented, the rest are water-based, and I think this thing goes through and the pigmented ink is getting into where the yellow is. And I think the yellow clogs more because where it is closer to the other black nozzles on the pad. See, it's a muddy mess in there. Inky mess. And I used a little screwdriver and pried those out of there. But you got a lot of dried up ink. That's where it sets in the unit. Use load and navigate. Hold the button down to get into service mode. Put some clean magic bullet cleaner in there. Move the stone back and forth. You see the bubbles come through it. This is like a porous, I don't know if it's a synthetic rock or whatever. The one here that is good in the sense that it doesn't have a bump on it, when you put it on here, it sucks out the ink. That's just got black. It's got some yellow in it because it's got some from this other rock in the solution here. But this particular one, it's got some magenta and yellow in it. If you put the rock on here. So to clean it, I've been putting it in the cleaner, letting it sit. And that mechanical big bump in there, that's why the yellow's been clogging. I don't know if this is a plastic material and then the head trying to clean up in there, it pumps it through there, it heats up, got stuck on there or what, but it sure does have a big mogul through here. A big bump through there. And it's cracked, so that can't be good. So one of my purge tank stones is not flat, and that's why the yellow tends to get clogged up. These are the stones out of a purge tank out of an IPF 750, and attempting to clean it. This defective one here has got a big mogul through here, a big crack in it. Should be flat. These are the stones that the inkjet head goes to. It's got 6 heads on it when it's in the parking position to do the cleaning and the purging and head removal, pull the ink out. You usually purges some ink out of the head, and it's got a big mountain through there. We'll put 2 flat sides together. Match it pretty well. If I flip over and put the high side against the other stone, this has got a big bump in it. You can rocker this back and forth. So I don't know if this overheated. Not sure if this overheated and so it warped. But that's the problem why if you put a new head in the unit, yellow will clog up in a couple months. So you can see the ink coming out with the little cheap ultrasonic cleaner. This is just one I picked up at a dime store. I think it's a pseudo one because these are I think it's just got a vibrator and they're 60 hertz with a little membo thing that has a resonance. It's not an electronically driven one. see the junk coming out of there. It makes sense because this is the one that yellow always gets clogged. That's just water. So you still got yellow coming out of it. You can take that, put this on some paper towels, and the dry paper towels will pull the ink out of the stone. I've been doing this over and over again. So the stone is actually impregnated with just dried up ink over and over again. And putting it on paper towels, it just sucks the ink back out. This particular one should only have yellow, cyan, and magenta. But it's got some black, some cross-contamination. That's why it tends to get clogged up. Pretty much all I've been pulling out of this is yellow. And that's the one that's been clogged up. I've used ink that's all in date too, so I think it's because the way the yellow head is connect close to the other one on the other side of the head that it gets contaminated, but I'm not sure. There it is again. Keep on pulling more and more yellow out of it. I'm using this just to blot it out. Put this under water. So the dry paper towel wicks out the ink that's in there. You can see you got a little bit there of some other colors. That's probably some of the cyan and black that's stuck in there. Starting to look almost white. Look, a brand new one is white. There you get some of these pulling deep, some of the stuff that's on there. All sorts of dried yellow ink.